Hello and welcome back to Activating Positive Energy for Health and Happiness. We went through the first section, which is the introduction to the course, and now we're going to dive deep into the mind. So let's start by answering, again, this dialogue, this question that you can ask yourself, ask your friends, ask your colleagues. What do you spend most of your mental energy thinking about? I'm going to pause a little bit. You can think about that question. And I'm not going to ask you any more leading questions, but I just like to bring your attention to the fact that your mental energy is so powerful and you have so much potential, what you can accomplish. What do you choose to focus your mental energy on? So when we talk about the stress, which are the mental challenges, you can see a picture of this guy standing, and on the picture I've put some of these key mental challenges, and let me talk a little bit about each one of them. So we'll dive deep into each slide, but we have something called brain chatter, we have something called negativity bias, confirmation bias, negative self-talk, really detrimental to your confidence, creeping doubts, these lies that people tell themselves, illusion of control. So these are, I would say, and these cause stress and anxiety. So these are the 5 key mental challenges, and I'll talk a little bit about each one. What is negativity bias? It is, even when of equal intensity, things of a more negative nature, thoughts, emotions, social interactions, have a greater effect on our psychological states than neutral or positive things do. So that, combined with also the idea that we have this tendency to focus on what's wrong and needs fixing, or what's broken and needs to be amended, but more importantly is this idea that we have to be very careful with our comments to other people, because we get affected because of this negativity bias so much more when we're exposed to a negative comment or a negative experience than 10 positive or neutral ones. So that's negativity bias. Confirmation bias is the tendency to search for, interpret, favor, and recall information in a way that confirms one's pre-existing beliefs or hypotheses. What does this mean? This means going back again to your thoughts and what you choose to plant in your brain. And I'm going to tell you a story of how these 3 things work together as we move forward. The negative self-talk, the confirmation bias, and the negativity bias. But if you believe that you are something, and you just going out in the world, you will tend to find or notice things that confirm that belief. Even though the world is an incredibly abundant and rich place, full of experiences, full of opportunities, full of possibilities. But how your life plays out due to your negative self-talk and your negativity bias and your confirmation bias is very much linked to what you think about yourself and what you believe about yourself. Confirmation bias. Negative self-talk, the lies that we tell ourselves, internal mental dialogue that is detrimental, negative, distorted, causes stress, low self-esteem, lack of confidence. Negative self-talk may be attributed to our inner gremlin, or it could also be due to an acute stress response syndrome. So, this is a very deep philosophical and psychological concept that books have been written about this. Very simple, in a very simple word. Your mind tells you lies, either in the form of your gremlin or your inner critic or your monkey mind or whatever you want to call it, which is this voice in your head that in a way is only really trying to protect you or is over dramatizing things. But then there's an aspect of it that there are certain ideas or thoughts that are not true. And if you want to prove this, go into a room where no one's there, by yourself, get out your phone or a recorder or anything, just press the record button and speak freely, no censorship, for about 15 minutes. Just let go of all, just unleash all of the thoughts that you're thinking about. No censoring and no judgment. Just be loving and compassionate with yourself as well. Go back and listen. I assure you that you will be extremely surprised at some of these thoughts, and you'll realize, what? I don't feel this way. My true, authentic self does not feel this way. Now, what is the source of these thoughts? It's another conversation, but it's more about becoming aware of them and being able to discern what is of value to you, is enabling to you, and what is detrimental and that's more deceptive, and being able to discern and really, and we'll talk about how to do that. But be aware that there is negative self-talk, right? Brain chatter. Different than negative self-talk. Brain chatter is just this constant noise in your head. Oh, yesterday I need to do this and I need to do that and I need to go buy the tickets and my job and my career and my debts and my bank and my phone and my girlfriend and the noise, the constant chatter. And when we do the mindfulness exercise, as you start to practice mindfulness, you will realize that presence, mindfulness, metacognition, all of these skills, as you start to practice them, they come in very handy in helping to quieten this noise, or at least let it flow and be kind of like transcend it. Watch it flow. Either or. You can quieten it or you can just let it flow. So that's brain chatter. So we have a wonderful picture of this happy child with a report card and an apple on the desk. And I'd like to share with you just a little analogy so you understand how negativity bias, negative self-talk, and confirmation bias work together to really shape our own mental energy. Right. So let's call him Mike. Mike gets a report card, goes home, shows it to his parents. So Mike is a straight A student. He's got A in math, an A in geography, an A in social sciences, and history, an A in biology, an A in English language. He's amazing. But Mike has failed art. He has a big red F with a big circle next to his art subject. So Mike's parents open up the report card. It's like, hey, Mike, why did you fail art? You got a big F. Why did you fail art? And he scored 9 other A's. They don't care. Negativity bias, huh? The red F. Why did you fail art? So that's the negativity bias on his parents' side. They paid no attention to the 9 A's. Their focus just went to the what? Red F. So they tell him, maybe, you're not artistic, you're not creative, you'll never amount to anything as an artist, Maybe that's true, but maybe Mike just had a bad experience. Maybe the teacher wasn't a great teacher. Maybe he's just having a bad year, whatever. But the truth is, that negativity bias, which led to those comments, leads to negative self-talk. So Mike now becomes aware of the fact that he's not creative. He's not an artist. He will never amount to anything in the artistic world. He might as well just focus on engineering and mathematics because he got an F and he's not creative. So that's his negative self-talk. I'm not creative. I'm not an artist. I'm not creative. I'm not an artist. And he starts to believe that. So what happens next? Confirmation bias, right? Mike goes to a new school and the art and crafts teacher is outstanding and the environment is great and there's painting and there is Lego and there is design thinking and there is clay and he's just having a great time, and he starts to become more participatory in this arts and crafts. What happens is this: confirmation bias. He creates this wonderful sculpture, and his teammates or his classmates come, and one person tells him, wow, that's a really beautiful sculpture. You're really creative. But 9 others just tell him, that's really terrible. That's really horrible. You're not creative at all. What happens here is his old negative self-talk chooses to focus on the confirmation of what he already believes. So he basically ignores that one positive comment and chooses to believe and actually, believe those comments that basically the comments that confirm that internal negative self-talk. So it's a bit of a long story, but I'm sure that if you think about it, you'll understand how these 3 things work together. And the whole idea behind it is be careful. Be careful with your negativity bias, be careful with your negative self-talk, be careful with your confirmation bias, and be aware of how it affects your children, your partners, your team, your parents, everything. So thank you for the patience of listening to that story. I just thought it's important to just highlight the way these concepts play together. And I'd like to also share with you, we're coming towards the end of this first, the lecture of the mind, the first section, but this is the most important. This is the most important. For me, it's called the illusion of control. So the illusion of control, and as you can see, this is this wonderful picture of these constellation and these circles. It's the fallacy. It's a fallacy that a person can control events, can control people, can control things outside of their own. And this is from one of my favorite authors, Dr. Stephen Covey. He talks about that in his very first habit, which is be proactive. He calls it the locus of control, I believe. But again, it's a common concept in psychology and in positive personal development. You can't control the news and the weather and reality check. You can't even control how people feel about you. It's actually true. The most you can do, and just, to make life easier for yourself and for others, is, well, before I answer that, let me ask you the question. What are the things that you can control? And again, this is a question and dialogue. It's can have the dialogue. What can you control? Call a friend, ask them. Put pause, call a friend, ask them, and then come back. The source of your positive power, 3 things. Your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. Khalas. You cannot control anything else. Those are the only 3 things you can control. And once you accept and make peace with this reality, it really will have an incredibly liberating and healing effect on you, on your life, on your relationships, on your expectations, on everything. Your thoughts, your emotions, your actions. That's it. You can't control anything else. So, in this first lecture, which is lecture number 6 of section 2, the mind, it was a bit of a long one, but it was important because I wanted to just share with you the mental challenges. We talked about that they cause stress, they cause us anxiety. So we talked about negativity bias, negative self-talk, confirmation bias, the illusion of control, brain chatter. I dive deeper into a little bit more of meaning about these concepts. I shared with you the analogy of the report card, Mike, the child with the report card, and we understood how we need to be really conscious and aware of how we talk to ourselves and how we talk to others because of the interplay of these concepts. And then we talked about how the illusion of control, Dr. Stephen Covey and others talk about this idea that your positive power comes from first the awareness, acceptance, and then application of I can only control three things. I can control my thoughts, I can control my emotions, I control my actions, nothing else. So once we accept that, apply that, then we are on the way to starting to overcome the mental challenges so that we can start to activate this mental positive energy and start to decrease our stress levels and start to feel more happy and more healthy in our lives, in our work, in our relationships. So thank you for your attention. And in the next section, we're going to jump in to the positive mental skills that we can have and how those can help us on our path towards activating this positive mental energy. So thanks for your attention and see you there.